the seasonal lows that I get around this time. So bear with me though. There will be some more content in the future, some really exciting stuff happening. But till then, we're going to do um, another video on Lilo. Except for I'm just using her as just a basis because basically to prep your car for winter and what that entails. Now, whether it's parking it or actually physically driving it in the winter, there are differences between the two, obviously. For starters, I'll just go through kind of the what you should do when you are going to prepare a car to drive in the winter. And the first thing you should do before anything else is, actually, I'll just pop the trunk really quick. Is go pick up, now it doesn't matter brand on this to be honest, but swap out your windshield washer fluid for a winter blend so that it does not freeze up and so that you can actually wash your window off, right? It's something that people forget. Honestly, I forgot when I did this and they did freeze up for a bit, but it cooled off and I dumped a bunch of this in it and it was good. Now this is just one that I found at the grocery store. Decent brand, good to up to -40. Never gets that cold here, so it's perfect, right? And something else actually is, well, here, let's get towards the back here, aim it down a little, there we go. And so another thing you want to look at as well is your tires. And you typically want a winter tire because they, and also, especially in the winter time, you don't want to cheap out on tires as much because they can be the difference in the world. Like, these tires are amazing. I paid, it was like, now I bought these used for like 120 bucks. They are a few years old, but no dry rot. There's like hardly, they're about 96% or so tread left on them. And as well, something to consider when you're looking at, okay, tires, the thing is, something that you can do to save yourself a little bit of money is buy used tires and just make sure you check the dates on the tire, which there is a thing right here. And when you decode that, there are tools online. I'm trying to remember the exact method of how to decode of when it was made. And basically, because it'll tell you year, month, and even, or it's the week and the year, if I remember correctly, is what that does right there. But basically, like, these I believe are 6 years old, but and that's okay. I'll get a few years out of these, and that's great. They were only 120 bucks. Great deal. But if you want to, if you're looking at a tire and you don't know, there are tools online to show you, okay, how exactly to decode a tire, and it's great. But you don't want to go buy a tire that's 10 years old, because chances are it's going to be bad. And usually the shelf life of a tire is about 10 years. Sometimes there are brand new tires you can buy, but they've been sitting forever, and so that'll happen, right? And so you got to be careful about that when buying any tire whatsoever, used or new, because that can happen with new tires as well. It's rare with new tires, but it does happen. Now that we got winter tires out of the way, let's take a look at, okay, now this will depend on what you're driving. Because, okay, now I'm driving, of course, a Fox body convertible, right? So actually there is quite a bit of weight right along the rear tires, because the motor is basically right in here, right? Actually, a little further back, but regardless, the motor is right in this area, which is right over top of the rear wheels, so it actually grips very well in the snow and ice. However, Stitch has almost no weight in the back, so what I've done with Stitch, and you've seen that in one of my previous videos, is I have 2 sandbags and my jack in the trunk to hold the ass end down. And the thing is, there's a common misconception though about driving a car in the winter time. And what that misconception is that when you are picking a car, and whether it's front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or four wheel drive, now, okay, of course, four wheel drive is the best. However, you will come across people that said front wheel drive is better than rear wheel drive. To a certain extent, that's true until you get someone that knows what they're doing in rear wheel drive in the wintertime. It's not so bad. Because with weight transfer, like when you press on the throttle and you feel the car kind of lurch backward that way, and the front end raise up, that's all the weight being transferred to the rear tires that way, right? Now, obviously, that usually you don't really feel that as much until you're like hammering on the throttle, but still. And that's one of the reasons why that a rear wheel drive is actually not that bad. It just depends on how heavy it is. Like lighter cars are actually pretty good for that, but you want weight over the rear tires, right? And I would have sandbags in this thing, which I might put sandbags in it anyways, like steal the ones out of Stitch, because Stitch is parked for a while. Actually the battery's out of it, because, well, I needed it, but for other stuff. But, yeah, so there are those things, and as well, when you are looking at fluids and stuff like that, it is not a bad idea for when winter comes along to change your oil and to change your coolant, especially the coolant, because in the wintertime, like in the summertime, you know, you may have had some overheating issues, or maybe the previous owner to you, because you don't know this for sure until you like pop it open and look. I'd show you under the hood of this with the inside the radiator, but to be honest, the car was just running. It's still a little warm. I'd rather not take the chance of it spewing out of me. It's not fun when it does that. So yeah. But basically, you want to make sure that there isn't water in there, or like, and if you have antifreeze in it. Now the thing is, something you can do is you can add a little bit of water, but don't add too much. Basically, like what I like to do, and I should have brought one with me, is because I have bottles of coolant around the house. So the thing is, I buy concentrate coolant, because you can buy the pre-mixed stuff, which is just simple, but honestly, you're wasting your money, unless if it's a high-performance vehicle that requires special coolant that way. Even though it's not special, but you know what I mean, right? It's just convenient. Because the thing is, what you can do with the concentrate is grab another jug, fill it halfway with that coolant, and then fill both of them the rest of the way up with water, and that gives you your 50-50 distribution of what you know, that premix would essentially be. So, and that way you're saving half your money, right? You don't have to buy another jug, you can just do that. So it's quite convenient that way. And something else to look into as well, when, depending on where you are, now I am going to see about investing in some. I do have one, but one doesn't kind of issue too. Is tire chains. Now tire chains are really useful for when you get stuck on the ice. It's not so much for snow, it's ice. And something you want to be careful of though is that when you're putting the chains on and using them, they're really only designed for low speeds. If you're trying to go highway speeds with them, you're just going to tear those chains off and potentially damage your car in the process with the just the chains whipping around and destroying the inner fenders and stuff like that. So be careful with that. I'm trying to think. I know there's something else, but I can't think of what it is. But I mean, that's just some of the basics, right? And this is stuff that you can find just about anywhere, but you know, it's a nice refresher to have. And I mean, I've been driving Lilo since October. I've had no issues. It's been fun. Like, she is burning oil, and you know, I have been having a little bit of fun with her. You know, because I've been playing with. Okay, and also, and this is something you guys should do too. Because I've been playing with her in the snow and in the dirt as well when it wasn't, you know, snow on the ground. Because there was a little bit of just dirt for a while. The thing is, play with your cars. And what I mean by that is come to an area like this, is somewhat secluded, a corner like this, and hammer on the throttle. Now the thing is, and you'll start to slide, right? That's just a given, depending on your tires and whether it's all-wheel drive, traction control, all that different stuff makes a difference. But you know what I mean. And the thing is, when you start playing with it, you will know that when you start drifting and how you counter it and everything, you will learn that pretty quick of, okay, this is what I do in those situations. Like, I just had it down, like, you know, this thing does slide about a little bit here and there. And the thing is, I've learned to adjust and to let off the throttle and stuff like that at times to not have it completely spin around on me or anything like that. I spun once in this thing when I was on the all-season tires, not the winter tires yet, and there was just nothing but ice on the road. I gave it a little too much throttle and it just, you know, it happens, and I couldn't control that one. That was just, okay, yeah, you're just along for the ride, you slam on the brakes, and come to a stop that way. But, yeah, and as well, now, here's something that I see asked all the time, and it's for people that park their cars in the winter, of what you should do to prep your car for parking for the winter time. And the thing is, there are a few things that you can do that is honestly advisable. And one of the first things would be to, you can get, now there's multiple different brands, but you know, I'm just going to use Stable as an example. You can get a fuel stabilizer that is designed to last about 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. And it goes straight into your gas tank. And yeah, all you do is just, like, you know, you pop open your door, you take the cap off the thing, you dump it in there, it's great, you know, it works. And that's so that over time, because when gasoline sits for a certain period of time, now typically it's not going to be the end of the world with your car if it runs with 6-month-old gas. It might just not run correctly for a little bit, but then it'll be fine when you do your first fill up afterwards, right? Or at least it should be. But there are certain deposits and stuff like that that can be left in the tank, so it's better to honestly do that when you're parking. And as well, something that is good to do when you're storing any vehicle, doesn't matter if this is in the winter time or just storing it in general, because you know you're not sure when you're going to drive it, and you know, or it's just a project that's been sitting that you know runs, is every week or so come out and start it for a couple of minutes, right? And you don't have to rev it or anything, just start it, right? Let it get up to temperature, and then you can just shut it off, right? And that way it keeps everything circulated as well, and plus when you have that stabilizer in, it does great. Let's see, what else? Because, oh yeah, and when I mentioned about the coolant, I like the antifreeze in there, because it's better to use antifreeze than just pure water, because water, what it does when it freezes, it expands. And when it expands, it'll crack your block wide open. And so that's not a good thing, right? You don't want that happening. You hear about it many times where people just put water in the summertime and they forget about it, and then they go to start it and they run it for a minute and then boom, and it's just dead, right? So yeah, you don't want that happening to you. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, as well, when you park a car, it's depending on how long you have it parked for. If it's just a few months, you don't have to worry about this, but if it's a little longer than that, I would advise you take off the wheels and stack them on their sides, on the sidewalls. And the reason being for that is, after a certain amount of time, when a tire is sitting on its, with the weight of the car still on it, you'll actually get flat spots in the tire, and when you're driving it, you'll feel it, right? It'll feel like you have a bit of a juddering or something like that, and that's a flat spot in the tire. So it is advisable to you to take off your wheels and put them up, and then you can have it on jack stands, or you can just buy some crappy tires, like crappy wheels and tires, and throw them on, right? Because who cares at that point? You know, and just little things like that that you don't really think about. Because yeah, like I said, if you're just parking it for the wintertime, you're not gonna really worry about the flat spots very much. But if you're parking it for a year or two, you might get some flat spots over time. So it's advisable that way. Yeah, it's not. Sorry, my brain hasn't been functioning very much lately. It's been an interesting time. Like I've told you guys, I've been dealing with some seasonal depression here, and it's just every year when it comes close to Christmas and then into early January, it's not the prettiest for me, but you know, I'll get through it. This happens. This has been happening for the past 3 years, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, and as well, for you people, and I can't believe I have to say this, but for all of you people that come onto my channel and ask me to do just weird stuff, or just ask weird stuff in general, like, do I go start my cars in slippers, or can I do some cold starts and freaking socks and stuff like that? Just like, I don't want to hear it. I am sick of it. You know, or like this one guy that's somewhat local. He asked me, could I smoke a cigarette and do a cold start for him? It's like, hell no, I'm not gonna freaking, you know, I replied to him, and I mean, you'll find that, if you search through my videos, you'll find that comment that I put, and it's actually pretty funny, to be honest. But, you know, and it's just like, I don't understand that, and I'm tired of the harassment. Now, I'm still gonna keep doing YouTube and stuff like that, but I'm just here to say, fucking stop. Because it's creepy as hell. I'm here to be informative and to have fun and to document what I do on my cars, not fulfill your fantasy. So I do have a plan for them in the future, which you guys will see that and you will laugh your ass off when you see that video. So I promise you, you will not want to miss that. But yeah, so anyways, I think that'll just about wrap this up. Although I am going to do a little bit of fun here because you know, why not? I've been learning a little bit on the car, and well, having it in the right gear for one when you're taking this corner makes a huge difference on how much you slide. Because if you're in overdrive, hardly slides at all. So yeah, with that in mind, let's try this again. This is the third attempt of doing this, or at least this corner. The second time with snow and ice. So let me just put the camera back here. Right, that should be about good there. And let's try this again. just because again, you know, when temperatures change, it does actually change the way the acts. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're staying safe during COVID-19, and please follow your local guidelines on masks, as well as any other guidelines for meetings and stuff like that. And as well, good luck with whatever you're working on, and I'll catch you in the next video. Okay, bye!